Hey, so are you gonna review Madam Web?
Huh? What are you referring to, little child?
Madam Web, the new Spider-Man
Adjacent.
movie that just released.
That's out? Oh crap, that's been out. Who knew? They actually made this movie? Why? I mean, I don't think anyone really cares, but I guess we could talk about it. So I watched it, and to no one's surprise, it isn't great. In fact, it's so horrendously bad that you'll leave the movie uglier than when you came in. The world around us will spin as it always does, but for those who watch this film, you will be warped to an alternate reality in which time slows down to an eternal halt, where 2 hours in real time equates to 20 years in this pocket dimension. Even though the length of this movie is average, sitting through it feels like a lifetime. The best ways to endure this everlasting slog are to either leave, distract yourself, or eat yourself into a food coma. Whatever you do to survive, you will not leave this film as you were when you came in, assuming you stuck around the entire time. So what happens in this film? What about it is so terrible? Well, we start with this pregnant woman and this evil man, exploring the Amazon in search for super spiders. Pregnant woman exclaims how annoying it is to have to carry around her baby because of how much it interferes with her work. How endearing. That's why we call her pregnant woman and not mother. Her group finds the super spider, which, yeah, there are just super spiders that exist. And they can just give you Spider-Man powers if they bite you. Just roll with it. This film is apparently a standalone that isn't connected to other Marvel properties in any way. I hope. Anyhow, Evil Man wants the super spider, so he kills this entire crew and fatally wounds the pregnant woman. Then he runs off with the spider, eventually using it on himself to get powers. Pregnant woman is about to die, until these spider monkey type people appear and take her to a healing bath. They give her spider powers, and then the baby floats out of the pool, and the pregnant woman dies. Again, just roll with it. Oh, they throw a lot at us with this opening. There are just spider monkey type people just hopping around in the trees. They don't really explain who these people are. All we get is that one of them vows to help the baby later in life. To be clear, they won't help the baby now, just later in life, should she decide to return to them herself. Cut to 30 years later, which would be 2003 in movie time. Why 2003? Maybe for the blockbuster nostalgia, I guess. I heard a rumor that this was apparently meant to be a prequel to Tom Holland's Spider-Man, meaning she would be in her 50s should they ever want to put her in Tom Holland sequels. I don't know if that's true or not, it's just what I heard. And I don't care to look it up, so take that with a grain of salt. We rejoin Pool Baby, as she is now an ambulance driver, who will stop for minutes at a time to converse with pedestrians while her patients are dying in the back. Her paramedic expertise also seems to only be limited to CPR, which she can almost do correctly. On one fateful outing, there is an accident, and she falls off a bridge. During this event, she awakens her latent spider psychic powers that allow her to see the future. This leads her into having a lot of awkward goofs and gaffes, because it takes her a while to realize how her powers work. And her powers work by having the film's editor flash a bunch of different shots in your face rapidly, until you get a headache and give up on trying to follow the story. The way it works in the plot is that we will see a bad thing happen, and then we'll get a surprise cut to the past, and then we see her avoid the bad thing. It would actually be a cool power to base a movie around. It's just unfortunate that the movie they made is terrible. As she's trying to figure this stuff out, we intercut with the evil guy, who is all rich and powerful now, but keeps having nightmares of 3 spider women killing him when he gets older. And boy, those spider women look like they were plucked straight out of Comic-Con with those costumes. So, to try and stop the spider women, the evil man somehow obtains this high-tech surveillance system, and this thing can somehow download the faces of the women from his dreams, de-age them, and can track them anywhere so long as a security camera is nearby. This is still 2003, mind you. This technology also comes with some woman that knows how to use it, and will monitor it 24/7 while following Evil Man's every order. Her only character trait is that she gets mildly uncomfortable when she learns that she is helping this man murder teenage girls. It doesn't affect the plot at all, though. He never really threatens her or forces her to do any of this stuff, and she never really rebels against him. She just gets a little uncomfortable, and that's it. Otherwise, she is just a drone that stares at these monitors her entire life. It should be noted as well that this evil man has such a strange voice that it sounds like someone is poorly dubbing over it at all times.
I chose it because I thought it expressed my origins well.
The acting all around in this film is pretty bizarre, as it is clear that none of the cast members really have any idea what the direction of this film is. And that's not their fault in any way, because this film has no soul. They just say lines with either no emotion or the bare minimum, creating a world that feels entirely made up by NPCs, and one that will drive you insane after having to listen to these people speak for hours.
How goes it? I've been better. I hope things get better. Bye.
They do the typical forced Marvel quip humor, but often with the most deadpan cheap delivery possible. If it weren't for the fact that nobody saw this film, people would find it pretty cringy. So eventually Madam Pool Baby gets a vision of the evil men killing the teenage girls, so she steps in to save them. There's some convoluted theme about fate bringing them together, so they end up in the same rooms a lot. Pretty convenient. This film's editing is so good that the evil dude will have completely different costumes between cuts. Sometimes he will wear a normal man suit, sometimes he will wear an evil Spider-Man suit. But whatever the case, he doesn't wear shoes for some reason. It's so jarring that I thought him in the costume versus him in the normal suit were two different people for a while. The story then becomes a classic cat and mouse chase of the evil man pursuing the Spider-Women, only there's a twist in that everybody involved is an idiot. So the three Spider-Women are not spider-powered yet, and know nothing of the evil man. They also conveniently have no families to rely on or worry about, meaning Madam CPR can just take them anywhere with no problems. Police assume that she kidnapped these teenagers, but that plot point just kinda goes away after a while, so it's chill. She takes the Spider-Women off the grid and into the woods of New York so that the evil man can't track them. Madam Raven then tells them to stay put while she gets supplies and comes up with a plan. However, as I mentioned, the girls are all idiots, so they wander off and find a nearby diner, and then they dance on the tables to attract some boys. Now, just to be clear, they are fully aware that a super stalker is actively pursuing them, with murderous intent, and they are now aware of his powerful tracking system. In spite of this, they still chose to go to this diner and dance on these tables on the grounds that they just felt like it. Naturally, Evil Man shows up and kills them all in record time. Unfortunately, that was just a premonition though, so Madam Spider swoops in to save the day at the last minute. All the while, Britney Spears plays in the background to remind us that this is 2003. Madam Ambulance then bonds with the girls by teaching them CPR poorly. Then at some point she goes back to the Amazon to meet with the Spider Monkey Man again. But forgive me, I legitimately can't remember why she did this. And for some reason, the main Spider Monkey Man is no longer a Spider Monkey Man, and now just wears normal man clothes and looks completely different. Suddenly, Madam Gray manifests mommy issues. These issues were in no way evident leading up to this point. She seemingly had a stable job, a normal life, and was competent enough to keep these girls alive so far. But now the movie is telling us that she has always struggled in life due to mommy issues. So now we're here. The not Spider Monkey Man helps her see into the past, where she wonders why her mother hated her so much while pregnant. Then she learns that she was a disabled broken baby that was going to die upon birth unless her mother could save her with the super spider. So to recap, Madam Flop manifests this mama drama, then resolves it within minutes. Very captivating, very efficient. Then the not Spider Monkey Man tells her that she's great and responsible, and therefore will have power that is also great, or something along those lines. While she is gone, the girls stay with her paramedic partner, and he has a pregnant wife who goes into labor while they are watching over these spider girls. And since they are all idiots, they all travel together to the hospital, and because of this, they reveal themselves to the tracking woman yet again, and the evil man hunts them down. Thankfully, Madam appears and literally runs over the evil man with her ambulance. Then they move to a firework factory for the final battle, in which the entire factory begins to explode with fireworks, while Madam Psychic uses a makeshift Captain America shield to jump around and protect the girls from danger in one of the corniest scenes ever put to motion picture. Eventually, the girls each get put into different near-death scenarios, but Madam Hokage conveniently learns the Shadow Clone Jutsu out of nowhere, and saves them all at once. I'm not kidding. Evil Man kicks her back to normal, which was pretty amusing to watch, but then she uses her psychic powers to set up the evil man to get crushed by a giant sign and die. So those nightmares he was having never came to pass, and we get no context as to why they occurred. We never see the girls get spider powers, and we never arrive to the time period that was shown in the dream. Oh, also Madam Strong Woman gets paralyzed and blinded, by the way. It just kinda happens out of nowhere at the end when she falls into some water. Then she gets taken to the hospital where she declares these girls to be her new children. Then we see the filmmakers try really hard to make a blind, paralyzed person look badass in a wheelchair. And that's Madam Web for you. Sorry it took me so long to make this review. I kept falling asleep every time I thought about this movie. Upon reaching the end, I just wonder why they even bothered with any of this. Like, did they think there was any scenario in which this would succeed? They picked a wildly obscure character whose main claim to fame was removing Spider-Man's agency and making his story feel incredibly contrived anytime she showed up. And they gave her a movie, one that is almost completely detached from its roots, and is seemingly not connected to any other franchise in any way. Not only that, but they put such little effort into it, that the main villain completely switches outfits between shots. Like, How did this happen? I'm just confused. A lot of people worked on this, and a lot of money was spent on this. How did this get made, and for what reason? There are millions upon millions of film ideas that get pitched and scrapped, with only the smallest of percentages of these ideas actually surviving long enough to get produced and released. And of all the would-be films that have come and gone, this one somehow made it into theaters. Sony could have made anything, and they chose to make this. The Aunt May film would have been better than this. This movie is truly the eighth wonder of the world, because I have no idea how humanity could have possibly created this. I don't know if this is controversial or not, but I'd say Marvel is better off when they treat this character like she doesn't exist. She wasn't great in the comics, she wasn't great in the show, she is best to be left forgotten. And more often than not, that's usually what they do. Unfortunately for Sony, it's too late for them. This film already exists, and they can't take it back. So at this point, if I were them, I would just say screw it and commit to the bit. Their next play should be to make a Madam Web vs. Morbius film. Sony, if you're listening, I would happily spend tons of money watching a movie like that. Please make it happen. Could we please get Madam Web vs. Morbius trending on X? I'm dead serious. I want this to happen. They could advertise this as being the worst crossover of all time. It's a match made in hell and the world deserves to see it. If not for the money, Sony, please, do it for the memes.